Hello, everyone, and welcome to this morning's edition of Inside the World of Box Lacrosse. I am your host, Trevor Butz. He is Tyler John, and we are also joined by Greg Beecher as well. And this should be a great show. We got a lot of great lacrosse action to talk about, and a lot of great games coming up on the schedule as well, as we will first get a look at the First Nations Junior B Lacrosse League standings after a big game last night featuring the Seneca War Chiefs and the Tonawanda Junior Braves. War Chiefs had a dominant effort in that game. They improved to 3-0 on the season, and they continued to start hot for them in this year. They have had some trouble getting games in, a lot of conflicts in their schedule, but when they've played, they have looked good, and they have that 3-0 record to show for it. Tonawanda had a tough game. Jackson Bob Prego, I thought, did very well in between the pipes for them in the losing effort. But the Braves were just kind of sloppy in that game and really didn't play their style of lacrosse. Short a few bodies for one reason or another, but you could tell it really affected them in that game, and the scoreline reflects it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler, you could probably speak to this a little better than we can. So, most of these guys, if you're playing high school or college, that junior league starts kind of early.
Yeah, I know like some of the Lakeshore kids, they were going from their Lakeshore practice right to Seneca Warchief's practice at the CCC. As well as their coach Adrian, it's a busy time of the season. Luckily, high school's over now, and they can just focus on destroying teams like they did last night.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It'll be an interesting game when they play Tuscarora. Tuscarora has kind of been like the Rush were at the beginning of the year, where they were winning a lot of like very close games. I mean, Trevor, you've gotten to watch Tusky a lot. You're going to have the Tuscarora game. It's tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, tonight, 8 o'clock. Be sure to tune in. We got Tuscarora Junior Tomahawks up at Cornerstone Arena playing host to the undefeated Seneca War Chiefs, as the War Chiefs look to try and move their way up the standings into second place, while Tuscarora wants to, extend the lead up top. They want to go to 6-1 and get that big win over the War Chiefs. They have played earlier in the season. The War Chiefs got a big 15-2 win in that game. So if Tuscarora's got a full bench, I think it'll be a much closer affair than it was then. But you never know in this league, and anything can happen really, and it should be a good one tonight.
Absolutely. Now, Ty, I'm sure you've kind of watched some of them. Probably a War Chiefs Newtown guy, as that's where you grew up. But I mean, what do you think the secret is to the War Chiefs? Because other than the last year getting beat by Onondaga, the War Chiefs have pretty much had their way in this junior league. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, from watching the War Chiefs for a couple of years now, I think actually watching that and watching some of the Can-Am games from the areas, it's not so much of a skill issue. It's to me, it's more of an athletics issue. Um, and watching that game last night, you could definitely tell that at the end of the game, the War Chiefs just weren't tired and they just do whatever they wanted. The Tonawanda guys, they seemed a little gassed at the end, and you can tell from their body language, towards the end when they were dropping passes, when things were going their way, they would just kind of give up and walk around, and the War Chiefs would just do whatever they wanted. But also, I think for the juniors, it's that too. It's that mentality of like, I make a mistake, I get upset at myself. I don't just I don't just keep going. Um,
Yeah, learning to get over that hump. I mean, that's really one of the
yeah,
things juniors will teach you. It's got to be a humbling experience for some of these guys. I mean, you come in, juniors, you can have guys as young as 16, and you're playing against 21-year-old, young men. It's there's a huge body gap there.
but it's also it comes down that then to me it comes down to the coaching staff being able to get that across to your guys. I know from coaching high school and coaching a bunch of different things that when these guys come off the field, you have to tell them like, hey, it's okay. We can go to the next one. We can just keep trying. It's fine. We'll get and especially for a league like this where there's not a lot of teams.
No, five teams, you're playing each other quite a bit. A lot of this is that
Yeah,
mental.
we can say, hey, we'll get in the next one. Let's learn right now, especially it's early in the season. Let's learn right now to how to win games later in the season when it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Trevor, Allegheny, if you didn't watch last year, you wouldn't really know this, I don't think, but they have made great strides, gotten way better, a lot bigger bench. They are also a pretty young team and fairly inexperienced. I mean, do you see them sitting down at the bottom this whole time, or do you see, as Tyler was talking about, you got that? I mean, they are a very athletic team and they have a lot of bodies. They could kind of tire Tonawanda out.
Yeah, Allegheny, they are an athletic team, and they got a lot of talent, down there. But as you mentioned, their second year as a program had that rough start last year, winless in their first season. But that's not the case anymore. Able to get a win over Tonawanda earlier in the year. It's hard to say if I think they're going to really rise up in the standings much because it's such a competitive First Nations league, but there's only room for so many teams at the top, and I'm not sure they are going to make it up to the top teams level this year. But look out! I mean, they've made some big strides from last year to this year, and I think in the years to come they'll definitely be on the rise and fighting for those top positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Ty, did you watch that Six Nations Tonawanda game?
I did not.
Things got a little heated there. I'll say that.
You're going to want to go check it out.
Okay.
The tail end of that game, things got a little heated. One thing I think a lot of guys don't maybe understand is a lot of these nations are so close that you have guys playing all over the place. They've got relatives all over. So you've got some local guys playing in that Six Nations team for, I mean, even though they're local Tonawanda guys. I mean, how does that add to the rivalry, Trevor? You were there. I mean, it got pretty heated. The camera caught some of it. It seemed like there was a lot of off-camera activities.
Oh, yeah, there were plenty of off-camera activities, to say the least. Lots of words being exchanged. And, yeah, as you mentioned, there were some overlap of Tonawanda guys playing on the Six Nations Fire. Some of those guys left the Junior Braves because they weren't sure at the start of the year if they were going to have a team. But they do end up having the team, and they had already moved on, and their rights were picked up by Six Nations. So made for a tough spot for some of those guys, but they got to do what they got to do. And it got a little tense at times. The score was obviously very one-sided. Tonawanda really controlled the game from start to finish, and Jackson Bob Pregel took the game over defensively for the Junior Braves. But
do you remember what the shot total was? Sorry to cut you off there, but I mean, I love how Jason keeps the shot for us because that is huge. Yeah, what was the shot total? Because I mean, in that game, the score was fairly one-sided, but a lot of that game was back and forth.
Yeah, I don't have the shot total in front of me. I wish I would have had it, but I wouldn't have been surprised at all if he had faced well over 50, 60 shots. I mean, good God. I mean, I have that he faced 83 last night against the War Chiefs. So, I mean, he has seen a lot of rubber in these last few games, has Jackson Bob Pregel. He's done a great job, and he's really been up to the task. I mean, 2 goals allowed in that game against Six Nations. But, as I was starting to say, it all just came to a head with about 13 minutes to go. And couple guys were chasing after Jake Smith for Tonawanda. He tried to de-escalate the situation, get back to the bench, but it was just all too much at one time. And
kind of like Anchorman, that really escalated quickly. That happens. It doesn't take long for it to get out of hand. But yes, absolutely tune in tonight. It should be a really good game because, like you said, you've got the undefeated War Chiefs taking on right now the number 1 Tuscarora Tomahawks. If they want to stay number 1, they've got to have an answer for them. It's that simple, really. If you're either going to compete and make it tough. Now we go on to the other league, though. In the senior league, when you talk about parity, though, this year, wow is all I can say.
Yeah, the parity really has been there throughout the Can-Am season this year. From 1 to 5, I think that gap has really shrunk down. These teams are so close together. I mean, Allegheny and Tonawanda had kind of been the front runners for a while here, but don't go anywhere. The Newtown Golden Eagles have loaded up, and they are looking to compete for a championship. The league's winningest franchise wants to add another championship to their history as the Golden Eagles picked up some big players, Clay Scanlon, Ron John, and how about Tehoka Nanticoke? They are going to be a very good team here as the season winds down.
Absolutely. Now, Ty, I got to ask you about this. You've been around the Can-Am for much longer than I have. Trevor's been around it for longer than I have, so I guess, I'm not really giving you much credit there. But growing up, Newtown seems like, other than when Onondaga had their runs, I didn't realize Newtown was the preeminent kind of powerhouse in the area.
Yeah, they went on a run early 2000s, early 2010s, I believe. It was definitely when I played 1 year with them. And then I dislocated my jaw in the first game and could not play the rest of the season.
Ow.
But yeah, no, I played one shift. I was playing offense, played one shift of defense, got the ball behind the net, turned elbow, popped my jaw out. The bad part was we were playing Buff Creek at the time. We were up by like 20 goals, and
just one of those things.
Not the time for that to happen, but no. But I remember playing when I played with them. We had Preston Lay as our coach. He definitely should have been a player at the time, but he had I forgot what he had, medical thing, so he couldn't play. So he was coaching, and they talked a lot about getting back to what they used to be, what they were, and trying to find the guys that were going to do that for them. They talked a lot about when they were kids. So if you guys ever been to the Gillet,
I am making my Gillet appearance this Friday. Super excited. It's the only place I have not been to watch a game as far as the Can-Am arenas go. I've been to everybody else's. Now that Grand River just moved over to the Civic Center, I haven't either. But never been to the Gillet. Been in the parking lot once. I thought the first game I was doing for Allegheny was there. Got there, called Kebby. He's like, "You're still an hour away, kid." I was like, "Oh shit!" In the car we went. But no, tell me about the Gillet.
No, but you ever been to the Gillet? You know that the locker rooms are very close to the field, and they're very close to the stands. So the one locker room that Newtown always uses, you have to walk through where the people stand for the game, and then go into the box. And I remember Preston telling us stories about when he was a kid, and other guys were nodding and agreeing. When he was a kid, and the game was about to start, you see that wave of green and yellow come out of the locker room, and how they wanted to be a part of that their whole lives. So I know what they have now and what they had when I was there is they want to get back to that, and they want to get back to being a dominant team like that. And I'm not gonna lie, when he told me that story, like during practice, I may have cheered up a little bit. From someone that didn't play and didn't experience that as a kid. And then being part of that, you're playing for your team, you're playing for your area, you're playing for the Cattaraugus Reservation, and I think they're getting back to that now. I think they're really with the team they had at the beginning of the year and the team they have now. I think they're really getting back to that. And I think they're going to be a force to reckon with the rest of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no level of passion like there is in Can-Am. I've never seen it anywhere. Like you said, you really are playing for, your nation. You're playing for your community. It's it is a really cool feeling. Trevor, that being said, there's nothing like the magic of a Tonawanda night game quite when the fans are up there screaming and, just the way it goes. So, I mean, tell us about, you have had a very busy week.
I have. First, real quick, just one more point on Newtown, though. They started out the Can-Am League with 3 straight championships back in the early 90s. And then as you get into the late 90s, early 2000s, it was 7 in a row for the Golden Eagles from 98 to 04, with their last championship coming in 2011. Yeah, it's a record 11 titles, but it's been quite a while for the Golden Eagles faithful down there. And, they want to get back to winning the championships that they did in years past. But, in talking about Tonawanda, yeah, Greg, I've gotten to be down there quite a few times recently, and I'm going to be down there a few more times this week as well. We got 2 huge senior games coming up this weekend as Tonawanda takes on Allegheny and Newtown in what should be 2 barn burner affairs at Logan Field. But yeah, there's really nothing like, a game at Logan Field. I love the night games as well, despite having to battle the sun throughout the game. It's so fun, just such a great setting. You get the sunset in the background, trees and whatnot. And of course, you got all the great people that are out. Kids are running around, playing, having fun. Stands are packed with rowdy fans that are so into the game and
Very
are
passionate fan base. That is
always offering their support.
well,
Yeah, very
especially
passionate.
them having that chain link fence. Since it's been pointed out to me, I do think it's like amazing though. The way they can scream through
Yeah.
to the players, like you can really hear them smack talking the goalies. You can hear like you're getting hit into the chain link fence, and you have a fan breathing in your face, basically spitting as they're screaming at you to get moving. It's
a tough place to play at.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, you're the only one of us that's probably ever been there and played. What is that like being on that floor?
So when I was playing for Buff Creek in my first year of Can-Am, this is something I will never forget. So on the one side of the field, you have the big stands, and then you have the little gap there where people stand and they can talk to you. We were setting up for a man up, and I was standing behind the net, and there was a lady. She was probably like 30 something. I don't remember really what she looked like or anything, but she was standing on the fence, and she was yelling at me, and she was screaming at me. So I kind of hit the fence a little bit with my elbow, and it hit her in the face, slightly. And I've never in my life been threatened to be stabbed as many times as I was then. But it's definitely a tough place to play at. You can hear everything that they're yelling from the stands, and it's not a big field. How like the CCC is, or even like the Gilway. It seems a little bit smaller. So even when you're on the far side, you can hear everything. And I've played at a few places. Like I've played at Blue Cross Arena in Rochester before, and like for that what game is that? The Rochester Bats versus whoever they bring in for that one.
Yeah, the NLL exhibition game they play beforehand.
Yeah, I played in that, and they play the music. They play it like just like an NLL game, and for those I couldn't hear any of the music. I couldn't hear the stands. I could just hear my coach and my teammates. But at Tonawanda, you hear everything. And then I remember back then too. So I'm allergic to bees. So a thing was for that is going into the bench and having to avoid all the bugs and the bees from before they redid the locker rooms over there. No, it's a tough place to play at. It's probably the toughest place to play at in the Can-Am.
I think they have the most home field advantage of any team I've covered. Like I've never been anywhere else that you have home field advantage like that. They play outdoors. You could play in the rain. You've got the fans breathing on you, maybe throwing ice cream through the fence. I mean, you never know what's going to happen there. It gets crazy. Nobody has home field advantage like Tonawanda, I believe. Like if they take the number one spot, it will benefit them probably more than anybody. Like I said, I've never been to Gilway, so I don't know, but
the thing is too, like when I was playing for Buff Creek or Newtown or Tuskegee or any of those teams, we practiced inside. We practice in climate controlled areas. Then you go there and we're playing box in the summertime, and
1,000 degrees. It could be. Yeah,
it's not fun. Yeah, and I remember when I used to play for Buffalo Creek before, they had jerseys that were almost like hockey sweaters.
Heavy
and
sweat.
We had to go play out there, and the amount of water and the amount of Gatorade we went through trying to survive that game is I think it might have been a record for something.
Yeah.
And the Tonawanda guys are like, "Oh no, we're used to this. It's fine." And it's yeah, like I said, it's one of the toughest places I've ever had to play.
Yeah. The sweaters might have been all right for some of the games earlier in this season, because there were some chilly ones earlier in the year. I had to break out the hoodie and the winter gloves for one of the games, but
get the knit cap out.
Yeah, but these last couple, it's been nice and warm. Summer's finally here. But yeah, it is such a cool environment down there, and it was another great crowd last night, and I would expect a packed house for both of their games this weekend.
Absolutely. We're going to play a little game here. We're going to put Ty on the spot, and we're going to pick some games for this weekend. So Friday, Newtown at Tonawanda, Logan Field. Newtown just beat Allegheny. They're on a tear right now. up in Six Nations, it didn't seem like they had their full roster. I mean, the one game they
No.
didn't even have a goalie, so they definitely didn't for that game. So, I mean, what are you thinking? You thinking Newtown's going to carry this one, or you think the Braves
Do
are going to?
you do you want my biased opinion, or do you want my coaching opinion?
I want both, honestly.
Okay,
Start with the
my
biased one.
biased-
Let's talk some smack.
My biased opinion, Newtown all the way.
Okay,
I mean, I'm a
undefeated for the
Cattaraugus
rest of the
guy.
season.
Okay. Cattaraugus guy. Half the team I'm related to. I gotta go with them. I want them to win everything they can ever. But I think it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a tough one. I think it's gonna be whoever brings their whole roster, whoever's able to get everyone there, and be able to because Newtown and Tonawanda they have deep depth charts, and whoever they can pick, if they can bring their best team, they're gonna take it. It's gonna be a scrappy one, and it's gonna be good. So my biased opinion is Newtown. My coaching opinion, I'm going to say Tonawanda, just because Tonawanda has something that Allegheny doesn't really. Allegheny is athletic. Allegheny is fast-paced team, but Tonawanda, they can hit hard.
They're big,
And they're going to hit, and that's something that Newtown didn't have to deal with. Because you have players on Newtown like Tommy Scanlon, who he wants to back you down. He wants to take that contact. But that contact is going to be a little bit harder playing against Tonawanda than it was against Allegheny.
Yeah, they got some monsters on defense. Like when you talk of, personally, when I think of Tonawanda, I think of those big, burly defensive guys and like Gates and even like Waylon. Like he's a big dude. Like all of their guys are genuinely they have a ton of big guys. They play physical. I think a lot of it comes down to penalty box. Can Tonawanda stay disciplined and not go over that line? Because they toe that line every game. Are they going to step over the top, start running their mouth, and take extra penalties, or can they force Newtown to be that team?
Yeah, I think they're able. I think Tonawanda will be able to get under Newtown's skin with that, especially being able to hit. There's a few hotheads on both teams, so there might be a good amount of penalty minutes in this one. But then if you're looking at
over or under 16 minutes, we going 8 penalties apiece.
Definitely over. Definitely over.
Hammer the over.
I'll take that one all day. So yeah, in that case then, if you're talking about penalty minutes, and I think it's going to come down to goaltending, which Craig Seneca's tearing up. I'm not. Who's the goalie in Tonawanda?
Well, it depends.
Watson.
Either Watson, Lazor, or Abrams, Wayne. But usually it's.
I'd say Joel. He's been the starter most of the time. I haven't actually gotten to see Jake Lazor at all, I don't believe, this year. And I've gotten to see Wayne Abrams a few times. So I put the money on Joel Watson, but it could be Wayne Abrams as well.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Craig Seneca played so good. I don't know if he can play that good again. Like I've seen him play a handful of times, and he's always a great goalie. But man, did he play amazing! Like just that shutting down Lane Smith, and his podcast will be coming out soon here in a couple days. At the end, when he's trying to put that game away, he just right on the glove. I'm like, are you kidding me?
I mean,
Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Sorry, I was gonna say in that Allegheny game though, like they had opportunities in the overtime. And they just couldn't get it past him. So if he can continue to play like that, I think that's gonna be a really good game.
Yeah, no, and anybody who's watched me long enough knows I think the goalie is hands down the most important position out there. It can completely turn around a game, a season if he's hot. Trevor, I mean, how has Watson been doing? I have only seen Lazor and Wayne play for him. I think I had one game with Joel, but I mean, he is a big dude. He takes up a lot of the net, and he plays so smart as far as angles go.
Yeah, I mean, Joel is a very large man. Takes up a lot of the net, as you mentioned, plays his angles real well. I could hear some of the Tonawanda shooters just in their warm-up drills at their last game just expressing frustration with him because he's just stopping all the shots because he takes up so much of the net. They were having a tough time getting it by him in warm-ups. But that tells you he's doing his job, and he's very good at it. He did take a stinger at the end of their last game, so I hope he is all right and able to be, in their games. I think a shot caught him up high or something against their Onondaga right near the end. But, Joel has done a good job for the Braves this season. But, man, if it comes down to a goalie battle, I don't know if any goalie's beating Craig Seneca this year. I mentioned on one of our shows before, he was my goalie of the year pick, and I'm sticking with it. He has been amazing for Newtown this year. I don't think the Golden Eagles are 6-6 if they have a goalie other than Craig Seneca for a lot of those games. He has been outstanding, and in my opinion, has undoubtedly been the best goalie this year for their team. And then just we were talking a moment about Tonawanda and their defense. I mean, listen to this. I mean, you got how about going through Stu Sundown, Zach Belter, Lee Abrams, Anthony D'Amico. I mean, my goodness.
And don't forget Ninham. Ninham's a monster too. Keenan's a monster, dude. Like, I don't realize how big these guys are when they're on the field until I go walking by the dugout and like I'm looking at Stu's chest. Like that's how tall I stand to like him and Keenan. Lee's not quite as tall. Lee is. I talked to him the other day. You know, I could probably come up to Lee's chin, so I get a little bit of height there. But yeah, no, they have some absolute monsters. I think I'm going to make you make a pick, Trevor. Who are you picking in that one?
They're not just big; they're athletic too. They're a lot of big athletic guys that can move up the floor. If I gotta pick one, oh man, it's so tough. I know I just mentioned Craig Seneca winning the goalie battle would do a lot for Newtown, but I think the home field advantage is really going to play in the favor of Tonawanda. So I'm going to have to go with the Braves in this one. I think they're going to get their 9th win of the season in that game. I think Newtown will drop to 6-7, but I think it will come down to the wire, and it'll be one of the best games we've had all year.
I completely agree. I definitely will be watching that one while I'm uploading my game. I will be making my Gillet appearance. Onondaga going up to Grand River. Onondaga's got a very tough weekend staying up in Canada. How well do they travel? I will start with that. Ty, how well does Onondaga travel up to Grand River? They've been struggling this year with numbers.
I don't think they're gonna do well. I think Grand River's gonna take this. We keep talking about goalies, and if they can have their goalie come, JP Fregola.
Yeah.
I know he's been hopping on with. I've played with him a few times in different tournaments and stuff, like the Brooklyn Dodgers, and played with him in Lasnai, things like that. I mean, if he has a good game, I think they can take it, but. Knowing Onondaga, they don't tend to travel well, and again, Grand River is the only they're not just playing for their area, they're playing for all of Canada right now in the Can-Am.
Yeah, they've beefed up their roster too. I mean, let's not forget you got the Powless brothers up there playing. They got Sam Firth now. I mean, they have a very legit roster. Really. There's kind of 2 seasons in the Can-Am. There's the preseason, and then there's once summer really gets into effect. Mm-hmm. I mean, have you seen this Grand River team since? I mean, they beat Tonawanda. We can't forget about that. Just, 2 games ago?
Yeah. They and they recently beat Newtown, didn't they?
Yes.
But but I don't think Newtown had their whole roster.
I don't think they had their goalie. So
it's still good experience though for the Grand River guys, but yeah, you're right. There is 2 seasons. You got to wait till the NL season's over.
Yes.
And then you come into the actual stuff.
And then once the coaches are done too, because you've got so many of these guys coach high school, they coach these youth programs that really once, summertime's underway, sun's out, guns out. Well, that's when the guns are really shining in the Can-Am. This is my favorite time of year though. I mean, everybody's scrambling for positions or getting their rosters. They're trying to tie things up. Trevor, would it be safe to say you're going to pick Grand River as well, or do you have some insight that Onondaga is going to come back and throttle them?
Now, the teams have split the season series so far. Each of them has a win. So I think it really could go either way, but my pick for both of the games on the weekend will be the Grand River Warriors. I just think, especially with how far the travel is for Onondaga, having to get up to the Brantford Civic Center, it's going to be real tough for them with, everything they've had to overcome this year. I know our friend John Pierce, put in the chat one of the games he has a broken hand, so if he's not going to be there, that's a big loss for them. He's been very good for them this year. There's, like I've said all year, there's no shortage of talent on the Red Hawks team. They just lack that structure and the full roster. They just haven't really had it this year. They've been missing a lot of bodies, and we know they've had some struggles with the coaching and whatnot this year, and it's been tough for them. And I
Teams
think
got
it's
to
going
go
to
through cycles. You can't stay on top forever. Onondaga had a great run, but now they're in that rebuilding. You've got some young guys with John Pierce. Unfortunately, they didn't have a junior team, which kind of leads you to like, oh man, what does the future hold? I'm sure they will pull it together. Somebody's going to step up there and take that leadership role, which is really kind of, from what I've heard, is what it seems to be. Is they really need somebody to step up and kind of grab the bull by the horns and be like, okay, we're doing this. I think the bigger game this weekend is honestly going to be that Allegheny game, because Newtown is going to be a exhausting game. Either way, like emotionally high. I think Tonawanda and Newtown, like we said, tons of penalty minutes. How do the Braves handle the next game when Allegheny comes in?
It's going to be a tough one for Tonawanda in that game, because they're going to be put through the ringer against Newtown. Let's face it. Like you said, it's going to be not only a physically draining game, it's going to be an emotionally draining game, from start to finish. And it'll be tough for them to have to pick up, right where they left off, and continue into that next game, regardless of their result. If it's a win or if it's a loss, especially coming off a loss, would be particularly tough for Tonawanda. But you're going to have to rise to the occasion, especially if you want to win a championship in this league. You're going to have to play in big games, and you're going to have to play well in back-to-back games, because as we all know, when it gets to be playoff time, a lot of these playoff series, you'll play 2 games in 2 days, 3 games in 3 days, 3 and 4. It happens. And Tonawanda, it's just going to be an early test for them, as you got to play 2 of the top teams in this league back to back. Fortunately for them, they're both at home, so no travel, but it'll still make for a tough but interesting weekend for the Braves for sure.
100%. And Ty, what do you think Tonawanda got fast enough and in shape enough to be able to handle these back-to-back games? Because that was a huge thing last year. Like that first game in the finals, amazing. Second game, Tonawanda couldn't keep up.
Yeah. So the thing with Can-Am, and I've been told this by many coaches, many players and stuff, is this is a league of attrition, and you have to just keep grinding. It's again, these guys are playing for their towns, they're playing for their areas they live in, and they're not getting paid for it. They're just out there for the love of the area, the love of the sport and stuff. So I think Tonawanda has that love in them that they're going to be able to at least find something. And the thing with a lot of the being a native guy and living around that is, we may get sweaty very fast, but we have a lot in us, and you give them that. I mean, you can give them an hour break and they'll come back hitting as hard as ever. But giving them a whole day, or is it a day or is it 2 days?
It's just one night.
Okay,
I think, right?
Giving them that. I think they're going to be fine. It might get a little bit for them at the end there, in the third, but they're gonna put everything out there. They want to win both these games. They want to take that number 1 spot, and it's
yeah.
Like I said, I think if they sorry, the thing with Allegheny and Tonawanda and Newtown right now is they found their core. They found what they're playing for. They found what they want to do, and they're living by that right now. Onondaga is still trying to find that. They're again in that rebuilding year. You have to find what you want to play for and how you're going to play and stuff. And those top 3 teams, they have that.
I like that. That's a great way to put it. It is, yeah, perfect.
I think Tonawanda is going to be able to come back against Allegheny and do well. I mean, are they going to be able to run as fast as them? No, but are they going to be able to put them in the boards and get in those dirty areas and fight for ground balls and be able to rip shots as hard as they can every time? For sure. So it's going to be a really good weekend. Do I think they're going to take it? No, but it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be a game that defines who they are. I mean, they've already done that throughout the year and throughout the many seasons, but it's a game that's going to help define who they are again. And like I said, you're trying to learn how to win games later in the year.
you want to finish the close games, be able to get there. I think a lot of the unsung heroes, though, I mean, let's take a minute and talk about these guys. So you got guys like Rudy George, Jesse Jimerson, and, like Silas Jonathan. He gets a lot of credit because he's got those two beautiful behind-the-back goals. But, I mean, honestly, those transition guys, D'Amico, Dolik, guys being able to get up the floor, like you said, it's attrition. How many of those guys do you have that can keep going? I mean, like Newtown, I know here in Snow just because I've watched him so much, but really that's what makes the league. You got to have an army of those guys that are just straight up lacrosse players who can play defense, stay on the floor for offense. Trevor, who is your guy to watch, I would say, on Allegheny for making sure that happens in Tonawanda?
Oh, looking towards Allegheny. I mean, you mentioned Rudy George. That is always a great name to mention. Somebody that I, really got to keep my eye on, though, has been Xavier Taylor. He has been very impressive this year. Not only, defensively, like we got to see him do a lot of last year and in his transition game as well, but he's been great offensively for the Arrows as well. And my goodness, I mean, you got guys like Fraser, Cloutier, Watts, Lane Smith, you name it. And then you can add Xavier Taylor into the mix, and he can do as well as he has offensively too for Allegheny. I mean, he's just, a can't miss player right now for the Arrows. He flies up the floor. Give him 3 steps. He goes from the end boards to the midline. He is so fast, big stride on him. And he's a very, big difference maker for Allegheny. But, for Tonawanda, if we want to pick somebody for them, I mean, I think Taylor Jensen is definitely a difference
we still haven't even talked about
it when he's there. He's so quick. He's not the typical Tonawanda physicality, big, hulking player, but he can bring the boom if you want him to, but it's just not his style. Very quick, athletic
His first
guy.
3 steps might be the fastest in the league. Like, it's one of those things you don't notice till you're sitting at a game live and you really realize, like, how fast he is off. It's like Lane Smith, deceptively fast. You give that guy a little head of steam to go, and he's going to burn by a lot of people.
I know when I watched Jensen with the Nighthawks, it wasn't as noticeable. Like, he's out there with freak athletes all around him. But now you see him here at the Can-Am, like you mentioned.
With us mere
he
mortals.
Takes a step. He is way faster than everybody else. He is just about, quicker to every loose ball. He is, such a freak athlete. Related to Josh Byrne as well, so we know he's got the great genetics. But, I mean, if they can have guys like Dan Kritkowski in the lineup as well, he's another guy that can really help Tonawanda push transition, another guy that just flies up the floor and can really help them create chances. And then, I always like somebody like Anthony D'Amico as well for that too. I mean, he's so solid defensively and does a great job winning faceoffs, which is, in my opinion, one of the most, underrated parts of his game. And is just a great leader as well on the floor, and another good athlete that this Tonawanda team has added in recent years.
Absolutely. So Ty, you're a little bit more familiar with these Newtown guys, especially being in the area. Other than here in Snow, who is going to be their unsung hero, that defensive transition kind of guy?
I got to give it to Kane Kettle.
Oh yeah,
he's
great pick. He plays offense a lot too, but yeah.
Yeah, I've played a lot with him, and he just keeps going. I mean, watching in that Allegheny game, and he, locking down Chase Frazier and being able to just play defense on these guys, and he's not a big dude. If you look at him, he's just a normal guy, and he's able to play very, very good defense, and that's the thing. I was a college recruiter for 2 seasons at ITWOBL. I coached there for a a little bit, and then
Trevor is so excited right now.
I'm wearing my Saints lacrosse. I worked with Jack Wilson. I was there for 2 seasons. Now I'm back coaching high school. But that's the thing when I'm looking at defensemen, I'm looking at certain players like that, is like, you don't notice them. The unsung heroes, you don't notice them right away, because on defense, you notice if you make a great play, but you notice even more if you make a bad play.
Yeah.
And these guys that are going to win these games, they don't make mistakes. You won't really notice them that much. Like Heron Snow, he's just out there doing the thing he needs to do. And I mean, he can do it on both sides of the ball. He's a great player. Again, played with him a few times, a couple men's leagues, couple things like that. Played with him on Newtown.
Plus, we got to talk
But
about Big Al Snow back there, shutting down guys on the store. I'm a huge Al Snow fan. Anybody who knows this channel knows I absolutely love the Snowman. He, watching him out there. So for me, like the coolest thing is too when you watch him shut down like Frazier or Kluche, it's like, man, I hang out with this guy. Like, and just to be able to watch him step up and play like that. I mean, we all knew he could, but now to get to see him prove it is amazing. He's not quite as athletic as like Huron getting up the floor. I mean, he can get up the floor, but you don't think of Al as like the guy you want running sprints up and down the floor like Kettle, like Kane Kettle. That as soon as you said that name, I was like, man, how did I forget that one? Because he is an absolute blast. Another one of these guys, never-ending gas tank. There's so many of those. What I think of like the Haudenosaunee style of lacrosse, I would say for me, it's that basic lacrosse player that can play every position well. They might excel at certain things, but it's really being a two-way player. Like when I don't think of any Haudenosaunee player that I'm like, man, this guy can't play defense, or man, this guy can't get back and do this, or this guy would really hurt an offense if he was up there. It's really that just all-around lacrosse player.
I mean, you just learn how to do that. I mean, like I said, I didn't start playing box. I was late. I haven't I'll say other than playing for Newtown, a little bit of Tuscarora, I haven't had any coaches, but I've learned a lot from players. I've learned a lot from just playing the sport. And like, I started off as an offensive guy. I played, when I played for Buff Creek that first couple years, I was only offense. I never wanted to go back on defense. And now just playing and learning and stuff, I play transition now, which, I mean, I'm a chunky boy. It sucks sometimes, but hey, but like I said, we'll keep going. And I think that's a big thing for these reservation teams is they do keep going. You have those, like I've said, unsung heroes that just keep going. I'll tell you right now, like playing in men's leagues and stuff around here, and you have the guys that you have guys that played field their whole life, and then they come and try to play box, and they're exhausted after 1 or 2 shifts. And I'm sweating too, but I'm going, and they're also like maybe 70, 80 pounds lighter than me, and I'm like, come on, guys, you gotta. If I can do it, you can do it. Let's go.
Well, it's a lot like a fighter. Like you see the guys throw the fakes all the time. So when your nervous system is on edge like that, so the first time you get smashed just standing in front of the net because you're waiting for a pass, like all of a sudden it puts your nervous system on edge. And like you can see the guys who have never played before. So now they're constantly looking. They're maybe not running like they should. They're looking over their shoulder. No, it's a different animal.
But a lot of these guys, like, we're talking about the Kane Kettles, the Heron Snows, the Al Snows, or those guys. If they had the choice, they would die on the field. They would play a game until they had a heart attack and they would keel over on the field.
Yeah, I mean the only reason we know Al is because he was driving 3 hours to practice with the Yeti when Can-Am was non-existent. So I mean, like,
he won
dedication.
He won a Defensive Player of the Year, right, that year?
Yeah, he is just an absolute beast out there. Yeah,
I would say his checks and I can't think of his name. Plays for Tonawanda, big guy. Gates.
Yeah.
Their hits hurt the most, I will say.
Yeah.
You didn't say his name at first, and I knew you were talking about Gates. The first name that popped in my head, I was like, it's got to be Gates.
I've never been like when I'm playing defense and he sets a pick on me. Never been cross-checked or anything by him. It's always his hip, and I go flying. And I'm right now I'm 6 foot 249. So he can't, most people think I'm a wall, and then
he's got that special athleticism, and watching him this year in shape where he's not holding on to his rib pads after every shift, like trying to catch his breath, has been an absolute blast. Owen Hill, another guy we haven't even mentioned yet, but like just one of those freak athletes. He is in crazy shape, but yeah, there is so many bruisers in this league. Well, we've been doing this for 45 minutes, guys. We try to keep this to a half-hour show, so as always, it's been an absolute blast. Trevor, tell everybody what you got going on this week.
Oh, we got lots of lacrosse action, as we've talked about a little bit already. We got the Tuscarora Junior Tomahawks and the Seneca War Chiefs tonight, 8 o'clock. Be sure to tune into that one. Should be another good one. Then, of course, we have the 2 huge tilts this weekend as the Tonawanda Braves play host to the Newtown Golden Eagles and the Allegheny Arrows this Friday and Saturday. Both games should be good ones. 8 o'clock start time for the first game against Newtown looking for the Allegheny start time 7 o'clock for that one. So both of them late night games should be some big ones. Be sure to watch them. You're not going to want to miss it. And be sure to check out my socials, tbutts82, Instagram, Twitter, and whatnot. Be sure to add me there. And Tyler, tell everybody what you got going on.
This week's actually light for me. So I've been coaching with the Junior Bandits, which I wanted to mention earlier when we were talking about like the insane athletes for the NLL. Like, I usually don't feel like a small person, but then coaching with them, like coaching with Dalter, Frazier, Cloutier, McKay, Toka, like I feel like a normal human being at that point. But no, I don't got a lot going on this week. Just that next week I will be back coaching with them.
Where does everybody find you? So it's very basic, Tyler. But what is it? Is that what they actually type in to find you? I'm trying to remember because we've been friends for a while.
Yeah. Instagram.
I love that. That was a name that just like when I saw that, I was like, "That's amazing." And then you introduced yourself. We started talking. I was like, "That is awesome."
I've had a few people be like, you're not that basic with the things that you do around. But so next week I'll be back with them. If anyone's in the area and they want to come watch high school lacrosse, we got a high school Box Lacrosse League starting in East Aurora next Monday
at the Winter Classic Arena there.
Yeah,
the place is amazing.
The high school team that I coach, Sweet Home, we put a team in there. It'll be the first time a lot of these guys are playing box lacrosse. We playing against Lancaster, Frontier, and West Seneca. It's a couple weeks. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a huge learning experience for these kids. Hopefully none of them are watching because I kind of forgot to tell them in our group chat to buy rib pads. So I was going to do it last night at our banquet, but then I was like, first week, let them realize that they need them and then tell them to buy them. It's a wake up call playing box, that you're going to get hit.
Yeah, if you haven't watched enough box,
yeah.
If you haven't watched enough box to know that you need them, you got to be seriously questioning why. Like you're not putting the prep work in that you need to.
But yeah, at Instagram, you can find me at Very Basic Tyler. I don't really have many other socials. Add me on Facebook, Ty John.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us. We will be back next week as always. Unfortunately, the chat wasn't up today, so I don't know what's going on. It just says, sorry, the live chat is unavailable. Maybe it was just on my end. I actually didn't even check it on my phone. But we will be back next week with all your Can-Am action. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you to the sponsors. Huge shout out to CB's Cannabis Club. Without this, we would not be doing the show. And if you've never been down there, that place is amazing. It's a lounge where you actually get to hang out. So if you're over 21, that's your thing. And I promise you, as a serious professional when it comes to enjoying those kind of products, they have some very good stuff. And we will see everybody next week.